Welcome to Make It Your Business, the podcast. Get the advice you need to grow your business by getting guidance from industry experts and interviews with successful small business owners. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.
Good morning. Welcome back. Episode 3.
Thank you.
These are going fast.
I know.
Turns out I have got a lot to say. Welcome to Make It Your Business. Okay, so what are we talking about today, Chris?
So today I was actually thinking, obviously the last couple of years have been very different to most years
Oh, yes.
because of COVID. And a lot of things have been sort of like playing on my mind, and it's like, what happens if it comes back, and what happens if we have another pandemic?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
So I was like, maybe we could use that as the basis for today's episode.
But yes, that's interesting. Let's talk about that. But let's also talk about what has changed
Okay.
and isn't going to happen. So yes, theoretically, none of us know, do we? We could be another pandemic, might not. Is it new norm? So there's that side to discuss, alleviating those fears, preparations. But there's also like what has changed. The first thing that comes to my mind is the remote worker.
Yep.
Skype, Zoom. All right, from their peak, it's definitely pulled back.
Yep.
We're all seeing clients now face-to-face. Human interaction super important.
Yep.
But percentage-wise, digital meetings, digital communication, work from home. This is a higher adoption rate now, isn't it?
Yeah.
As I say, I genuinely believe human-to-human personal contact interaction is the basis of all successful relationships.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a side there, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, look, whether we like it or not, technology is here to help. The businesses that got through that period quicker were certainly the ones that either had it in place already or adopted it quickly.
Yep.
I think from me, you know me, I'm a bit of a technology fan. I certainly love the fact that pre-pandemic, you needed an IT company, infrastructure, a VPN, and the tools that came out of that particular period are now very simple to install, user-friendly systems, orientations. Yeah, so, I don't know, I think I'm hesitating because, I'm feeling some anxiety. COVID affected everyone. A very, very difficult time. What if it happened again? I mean, as a business owner, you can prepare. There's certain things you can do. I'm thinking about what we've done within our businesses. We've certainly looked at more online or what you might call browser-based software. So recently we've been putting in what we call CRM systems, but essentially online programs that help you organize your teams.
Yep.
There's some good free ones. You're probably better at listing off some of those guys. I mean, you've got your Slacks, your
so
Teams,
for communications, Teams and Slack are big. You also got Google Messages, Google Meet, Zoom is also a good one. Everybody's heard of these days.
Organization wise, you've got
Trello,
Monday.
Like a lot of these are sort of free to a certain extent, and then when you go over a certain amount,
well, again, if somebody's here, listening to this and they've got 500 employees, look, they're going to have IT support, aren't they? We're talking about, or certainly my mind goes to the small business owner that just wants to keep trading in one format or another. So these tools are good. I mean, another interesting thing I've seen there's a very clear divide to me, that those that pivoted and didn't. Okay, so I'll give you an example. A baker's. They sell bread. Go there, get your lunch. But there were some bakers that started doing YouTube videos about how to do stuff. There were some bakers that created tutorials. You paid like £10 and you got a series on how to bake this particular item. So I know that's an extreme example, but I think you could certainly as a business owner start thinking about, if this happened, how could we pivot so you can still retain employees, revenue incomes? I mean, let's hope the governments of this world have got their act together and there's plans. But, from that sense, it's definitely become more acceptable to be educated online, digital products, And I know that's scary. As I say, if you are a baker, again, I can't get bakers out of my head there. But you know what I mean? It's like to suddenly go, oh, now I've got to learn this, I've got to do that, I've got...
So you're saying as a business owner, like you can go through your business model and look at, what you can do within your business and how you distribute.
Absolutely, yeah. And do you know what? It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
There were some people, I remember, I'm not old, but I remember who go, I'm not into this email. Lark, no, we use fax machines. We've always used fax machines. Doris knows how to use the fax machine. And look where we are now.
No.
So whether people like it or not, it's coming. So as a business owner, it's a decision to make, isn't it, really? It's like, get in or get out.
Yeah.
But that's the preparation, really. It's the what ifs. Look, I say luckily, that's not a word I usually normally use with COVID, but we've had a glimpse.
Yes.
We know what's worked. We know the industries that suffered. Luckily, there was some support there from a government perspective on grants. But yeah, that's what I would be looking at as a business owner. I'd say, what if, and I'd also be saying, what if we just did it now anyway? Yeah. So rather than waited until, Bob's Bakers, rather than just do that, if you could carve a 2-hour slot out of your week to start, set a camera up as you're making this stuff, add some basic commentary.
Yep.
You and I both read these stories. I say stories, case study, however of people that are now making far more money doing those type of things than they ever were doing the original business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now they are the success stories, and I think I said early on in this podcast, we don't want to get into the glitz and the glam because it's very, what's the word? Inspirational. Yeah. But let's face it, this is about boots on the ground advice.
Yep.
So I don't know, maybe have you got any ideas on what is called brick and mortars?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Like, if your business is, in a lease or a contract, you need your premises to be able to run, but you can't really do too much on that side. I know, obviously, there's, speaking of changes of what's happened with businesses throughout COVID, but obviously the big thing is working from home now. And, obviously, if you're an employee, if you don't have to be in an office to do your job, whether it's, a call center or, what we do, for example, with digital marketing, the job can be done remotely.
Yeah.
And, that means that obviously, people don't have to be in an office to share the same space and, blah, blah, blah.
But then you need these technology tools we spoke about to keep communication.
Yeah.
But let's say you're a retailer. You sell children's clothing.
Yep.
Okay, what are my thoughts on that? I mean, look, online's a big thing. Okay, you've got the dedicated start an online store.
Yep.
You've got your WooCommerce and your Shopify's that I would say are fairly intuitive.
Yep.
For users, you can go and look into those yourself, or for a few £100, you can have an agency set that up.
Yep.
And show you what to do. It's not that expensive. I mean, for your likes of your social media, your Facebooks, your Instagram, your TikToks, my belief is that we certainly, within our business now, utilising it on a regular basis, whether it be a daily or a weekly, it's an activity like emptying the bins, paying the payroll. You now need to create content, don't you?
Yeah. Some of the, interestingly, I was speaking to this with a friend the other day. So some of the best TikToks that I've seen, well, they don't interest me at all, but they keep on coming up on the feed, and are people packaging sweets. And just scrolling through, then it'd be a live feed of someone, like a shop, packaging all these sweets for customer and shipping them out. And it's like, it had all these, followers and viewers, and it's like people
are interested, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I suppose, do you know what? That's a really great point, because I know I've in the past been like, what do we create? What content do we even possibly do? But you're right, sometimes it's just set a camera up.
Yeah.
What was the one I saw the other day?
I was going to say, like, the other side of that is it, like, if you think, you're going to place your order online, and then you can, like, visually watch people pack your own order and go around and get the sweets that you want and stuff like that. I can see that attraction.
I can't remember the brand now. I really can't. But I was reading a blog about, long story short, it was a big multi-million-pound brand. I can't remember who they were. But long story short, their highest piece of content was their paper guillotine, cuts in the paper for their boxes.
Yep.
Fascinating stuff. Like to do sort of human psyche of seeing these machines work. So, but anyway, the point I was trying to make out is sometimes just set the camera up, point it at what you're already doing. You'd be surprised. There's an audience there, isn't it?
I guess you do it on a day-to-day basis, so it's no longer interesting or like different for you. It's just, you don't do it.
Yeah.
But like for people who don't, necessarily work in your industry, it's like it's quite interesting to watch and sort of.
Because I've always believed there's let's say for example I'm buying an item and I've seen the videos of their internal factory, their machinery, etc., etc. There's a connection there, isn't there, to you and that brand as well. So you're not just building it for a sales perspective, eyeballs. You're also building trust, aren't you?
Yep. Yeah, I suppose with a lot of manufacturing companies in particular as well, it's nice to see that, other things are manufactured in the UK, or, you can see like, the quality assurance it goes through, or, whatever it is. It's like, you're getting a glimpse into that business that you wouldn't usually see. And, you feel a little bit more vested and a bit more of a connection between you and that business. And ultimately, if it pops up in your feed, you wouldn't have seen that if you hadn't made that content. And you might then think about like, oh yeah, I might get some Sweets or I might use a company for doing whatever it is.
I can't remember the stat now. Maybe we'll have to find it and insert it in here or something. But it was something ridiculous, the growth of online educational products.
Yeah.
And I know that's one step on from just filming doing your everyday duties, which is stage one, but actually taking the time to almost map out an educational program.
Yeah.
And I think most industries or business owners, indeed, they're really good at their job. Then they start a business because they can do it better or a better price or a better quality service. And sometimes they stop to remember that they are very good at what they do and they have a lot of knowledge they can transport. And people pay for that.
Right.
I pay for online courses. If you go to university now to learn something, it's, I don't know, £10,000 a year. For 3 years to learn a subject, to pay $19.99 to learn about a particular subject you're interested in, especially if it's orientated around, there's something they can gain from. This new world, this is where we are. I think business owners need to know this.
Yeah, and you've got to start somewhere. Whether it's just filming what you're doing to start off with, and then sort of like progressing into the trading side of it.
Well, I do think that's important. Start somewhere. I think that's super important. We talk a lot on the podcast about just getting it done, doing something, because when I speak to these business owners, and I do understand, but they're like, oh, I'm a mechanic. What do I know about this? I just want to fix cars. Oh, I'm a fencing contractor. I just want to do this. Oh, I sell, calculators on Amazon. The truth is, this is the new norm. Before you started a business, you didn't understand bookkeeping. You didn't understand you had to do your tax returns. Your PAYE. This is fast becoming fundamentals of business going forward now, isn't it?
Yeah, and like there was a stat, I don't know, something recently that like it's either the second largest or now being largest, one of the large search engines, and it's you got to think about it. Like if people are searching for videos on how to do things, or and like you've got all these educational series on like showing different things, then it's going to get views, it's going to get people interested, and ultimately you're going to get returns to
drive that back to your existing business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's super interesting, isn't it? So to sort of think this through, you've got to embrace the digital.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what spaces, physical hard spaces you have. Do you need them? Could you reduce that if your team started working remotely?
Yep.
We mentioned some communication softwares that help you interact with your team.
Yeah, it's important. Like when everybody's working remotely, but you need to make sure that everybody can connect with each other, and things don't get lost in translation. So it's important to bridge that gap and make sure that like your team are as productive as possible as they would be in an office. I was reading a news article like the other day about after they try and make their employees go back to office, not full time, but I think it's 3 days a week.
Yeah,
there's a lot of protest about that, and like the employees were very used to working from home, and then like in office and they're saying like please come in. I don't want you to come in there all these days. And there's some resistance.
That's a difficult subject, isn't it?
Yeah.
My personal opinion on it is a bit of both. Genuinely believe it. I know, so we've got some businesses with engineers who are in a van, field-based. So they go out to fix things. They can't work from home. Okay, there are some industries that just doesn't apply to.
Well,
hopefully one day, I mean, we won't get into futurisms, but, augmented reality, dial into computer systems and machines and remote. Maybe that will be a thing long term, but right now it's not. You need physical hands-on, the blue-collar stuff. But there are a number of jobs that can be done from home. Spaces, group co-working spaces. It's another interesting one. I know WeWork was a bit of a historical disaster but from a point of view of no longer needing to own your own space and everyone come to that position. That's super interesting. All right, so communication, embrace online, start. Social media. I mean, again, listening to podcasts like this, YouTube, how did my business start on social media, and just make a start. And that's what you're saying. And that will get you prepared.
Also, look at what other products or services that you could offer, which would appeal to, if you're in a pandemic or, like where you can how you can adapt your business.
So during diversity, adaptation grows, doesn't it? I mean, I can think of a couple of people that I know previously when I spoke to them about, say, shipping online, having an online shop, they've got, my product's too big and heavy, or no, we need to install it because of X, Y, and Z. And then post-pandemic now, they offer that. So they found somebody who could ship, or they did it internally. One particular machinery manufacturer, they did video instructions. So it took them a few days to show, but then they were able to ship the product without the fitting element. So
bottom of a video on how to do it.
Here's the video, here's your product. And just think about how potentially, God forbid, it happened again, you could continue with the business side. Maybe we'll get deeper into how to digitalize certain elements of your business on another episode.
There's useful bits in there, and I think there's definitely bits to feed for thought, that you can think about. But hopefully, you never need to. But
they're starting now. There's benefits. Some of these businesses that have come back post-pandemic they're stronger than ever, aren't they? They've now got their original revenue stream back and the additional stream.
Exactly.
No, super interesting. No, we'll go into that in more detail on another episode, I think. Cool. No, good to see you again. I'm interested at all. Let's get back to work.
Thanks for that.